Hello everyone! Today marks the start of the AR03 Season 2 as we begin free practice for the preseason testing. And in this season, preseason testing takes place as a Silverstone race, 25 laps. The weather seems to be gradually increasing during the race, but we'll have to find out as everyone sets out to start their laps. Some people are in blatantly wrong cars, but here we see most drivers heading out, as we actually do have quite the attendance today. It's an exciting new season, and pre-season testing offers actually a few points this time as well. If I double check, I think Arto has the points. Let me go look at it. I think it's something like 2 points for the top 5 or 4, and then 1 point for the rest until the top 10. Here we have what I believe is the championship favorite to win the championship for both, I think, the drivers and the constructors if he can drive well. Dungeon Fanatics, he had a very strong performance in both of the races he attended. He won both of them, I believe. And so if he keeps up his performance, then he's set out to have a very, very good season, I believe. Tyrrell actually do have another driver for them, which is Mushy Cookie, a very promising driver and extremely fast last season as well. And so Tyrrell, I think, has a dream lineup, and honestly, they're probably the favorites to win both championships if they keep it up. But it's the start of the season, and we have no idea what could happen. Let me just double check. There's just free practice, so it's not quite exciting. Already a lot of drivers coming in. There's 18 drivers on the grid as of now. And this is just the free practice. So the way preseason testing works is it's to give all the teams a sort of chance to get in driving hours for all the drivers, make sure that everyone's up to speed. And so it's allowed to have 4 drivers per team just in preseason testing. And so you can have 2 of your main drivers driving as well as 2 of the reserves. And so you get to pick. And because of that, we're having an incredible attendance today, as teams try to get as many people as they can onto the field just to get as much testing time as possible. Dungeon Fanatic sets a pretty decent first lap, 28.9. Seems like he's had a poor Sector 3, quite a few tenths off. And the Sector 1 is also rather suboptimal. But a 28 for a start is quite strong, and so I believe he'll be going faster and faster as the time ticks down. The current 2003 car record for the Silverstone circuit is a 27.9. And so he's got a whole second to make up, but I believe Dungeon has what it takes. We've already have 20 people on the grid. Let's keep in mind, Silverstone only has 21 garages, so if more people keep showing up, there's bound to be a bit of clashing as to who gets to drive. And as the rules have been stated, it is a priority towards main drivers, so if there's too many reserves, then they're going to have to sit out and let the main drivers take over. Busy B-Dog sets the next fast lap with a 1:30, 2 seconds off Dungeon basically, and almost 3 seconds off of the actual record time. So he's got quite a bit of time to make up. Here we see TXH, another promising driver, as he's had quite a few good lap times as I've seen, and he drives for Williams, who have a rather strong lineup with the PRC Championship Moto, as well as, I believe, Kimi Räikkönen, who was in McLaren last season, but was unable to make it. And Okay, Plains just crashed it. Here you see the two Jaguars. They're quite a bit of an unknown, as I'm not too familiar with their two drivers, so it's really just a surprise as to who will come out on top. "40 seconds left of free practice, and Dungeon still has the fastest lap time, but TXH has a quite fast first sector. A bit slower in the second sector, I think 4/10 off of Dungeon's time. And so he has to make it all up in the final sector, if I can get my camera on him. He goes wide onto the entry of the chicane. You're allowed to do that, that's part of the track limits. A little bit slidey onto the final corner, but he keeps it nice and clean. And cross the line, that puts him in second, a 128.8, almost a full second behind Dungeon. He's had a rather poor final sector, almost 1.2 seconds off of an optimal sector time. Moto managed a 127.8, but he has an invalidated first sector, and so that does not count for anything. Which is quite unfortunate because that was a very good lap. Oh, ruthless! Horrible shunt for him. That's the issue with Stowe Corner. So much grip that it causes your car to flip over if you are not careful through there. And I think he might as well just go into the garage now and wait up for qualifying to begin. Dungeon Fanatics, however, on his final lap, he has a good first sector, much faster than his first time. And now it's all about how much time he can gain in these next flowy corners. Extremely difficult with these cars. Sorry, there are a bit of technical issues, but Dungeon sets a blistering first sector, and now it's his last sector, and see what it puts him? It gives him a 128.3. A little slow in that last sector, but it's a solid time nonetheless. And now, the camera's a little bugged, but it's qualifying going to start now. As you see, everyone is bunched up, waiting for the timer to begin as we begin the first qualifying session of this season. Everyone is excited. We have 21 drivers on the grid. That is locking out the entire garage set of Silverstone. Everyone sets off for their qualifying lap. You hear a symphony of V10 just blasting my eardrums. And before I forgot to mention who I was, my name is SR or Spinala, whatever you want to call me. I am the World Driver Championship of AR03 last season, but I have retired and I'm now driving. So I have the right to say, I have driven these leagues before. As we begin qualifying, Moto is the first out of the garage, and he's going to look to set a fast lap. He's shown good pace, but it has to be clean, otherwise he'll be invalidated and he won't have any lap time to begin with. Everyone just cutting and invalidating the track limits on the first out lap, just so they can get through every other corner quicker. The out lap does not matter, so you can cut any corner you want as just a way to start your fast lap. We have 16 drivers out right now, but I'm sure there's going to be a few more. Oh, Moto has a big moment there, and he's lost the wheel. He's into the wall already on his out lap. That is horrible. He's already on the back foot before qualifying even really started. So now we have all the drivers are now starting their laps. Moto will have to do another out lap, which is very unfortunate, and it's going to waste him quite a bit of time. Let's look at the sector times. All these sector times are the outlap times, so they're not very fast. I'm trying to see who's got the fast first sector now. Everyone is now setting their, yep, 25-5, 25-1, 24-8 for Dungeon. That is a blistering first sector, and he already on pace on the first day. Moto now finally back out of the garage after they have to fix his car, and now hopefully he can put together a clean lap. Few drivers already invalidating. Silverstone is one of the most tricky circuits for these types of cars because they're so fast and flowing, but the O3 cars do not enjoy these sort of high-speed corners very much, as they tend to understeer, and they don't also enjoy it when you try to turn while braking, because if you do, then it locks up the entire car. Dungeon Fanatics had a fast first sector, but invalidated. Oh, we have another driver flipping over. Polar X Gaming, another victim to Snow's corner. Like I said, it's an incredibly grippy corner, and if you get it right, you can gain a lot of speed and a lot of time through it. But if you get it wrong, oh, we have another flipper, the Benetton behind him. But like I said, if you get it wrong, you're in the wall or you're upside down. Very unfortunate for all of the drivers who got flipped there. Yep, Dungeon had to stop his lap. Jay-Z with the first lap out of the corner. I mean, Heavenly had a first lap as well, but a 131 was not competitive at all. Jay-Z, however, sets the first competitive lap with a 129.8. Still a bit off of the fastest times, but he can gain time over the qualifying, and then once he starts learning these cars. A lot of these drivers have never driven these cars before, or have only driven them very briefly. And so that's what makes it interesting, because everyone has to sort of figure it out on their own, as the O3 cars are not very popular to be like driven normally. Now, the Dungeon out for another lap of 25.1, which is a decent first sector, not nearly as fast as a 24.8, but a 37.1 is a strong second sector, very strong. And so he has the final sector to make up more time that he lost. And let's see if he can do it. Let me try to find Dungeon. And he has a 28.2, already faster than his free practice time. And once he fixes his first sector, and as well as his third sector, then he can get some really fast laps. I'm thinking 127.7 or 127.5 is a reasonable margin to reach. Jay-Z driving for the Arrows team. Will he set a faster lap? No, not anything, not faster. 600ths off of his original fastest lap. Now let's see anyone else setting good laps. Robin has set a 132, which is quite off of the pace. And so I don't think he'll be really challenging for pole this time. Steve on his first lap, a 25.5 first sector, quite a bit off. Seems like not a lot of people are figuring out the first sector very much. It's a very tricky part of the track. But if you have a good outlap, you can cut the final chicane and gain a little bit extra speed across the line to actually start your lap. And that's what a lot of people should be doing right now. It gains you almost a 5/10 of a second if you do it properly. Let's see if anyone else is setting laps so far. Helenai is the driver for McLaren, previously the driver for Benetton, and he was quite the fast driver on his good day, such as in Mexico or in Zandvoort when he finished second for both of those races. And so he's shown he's quite the handy driver when it comes to these 2003 cars. And now he's driving for the McLaren team, but he seems to be the only McLaren driver on the grid. And in a race where you get 4 drivers per team, it's quite a waste that he's only got 1 driver. And he sets a 129.3, a strong first lap by him. And Steve sets a 128.9. Still quite far off Dungeon, but it's still a very, very strong lap. Let's see if anyone else can start setting fast laps here. The Williams team has yet to set any good laps despite having very strong drivers on their lineup. Moto has yet to set a valid lap, and neither has TX. And Moto spun around again into Stowe. The Williams team having quite a few problems trying to drive for a qualifying lap. Everyone else now into the pits again. Dungeons here cutting on his outlap just to get a bit more speed entering his first push lap. Oh, we have a Ferrari flipper. Another one at Stowe again. Extremely difficult corner on these cars. If you have experience, then it actually isn't that bad. But for drivers that have never driven these types of cars on this circuit before, it can be really challenging and very perilous. Jay-Z that's a 29.8. Actually, no. Yeah, looks like I saw movement up there, but I don't think anyone actually changed positions. Jay-Z yet to improve on his lap. Everyone else seems to be setting 130s or less, which is quite off pace. And they're going to need to step up in the later stages of qualifying. There's still 7 minutes left, and so there's plenty of room for improvement. Faceman here yet to set a good lap, hoping to make it at least past the top 10, I reckon. And he set his lap 134.4. That's nearly 6 seconds or 7 seconds off of a competitive lap time. And so he's going to need to look into gaining a bit more speed and changing up his lines a bit, because it's clearly not working. Busy B-Dog driving for the Arrow team as well. Now looking to set his lap. He's yet to set a lap. And so this may be it. Nope, he's already... Oh, I think this is his out lap. TXH, maybe this will be his fast lap. Let's see his second times. Into the first sector, down the straight. And yes, it's the fastest sector 1. Incredible. 24.7. That's almost, I believe, 4/10 faster than what Dungeon put for his fast lap. And so I'll be looking at TXH to see if he can really put this together or not. I don't want to put pressure on him, but this has to be the lap. With the first sector like that, it's going to be hard to replicate it again. Into Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel, which is an extremely difficult corner to get right. Right. Left again, braking, and then right. Down the hanger straight. Let's see if that's a good enough sector 2. It's a 38.0. Quite... I believe that's almost 9/10 off of what Dungeon set. So he's going to have to look into finding more speed through those corners. It is a tricky part of the track, and it's hard to really figure out how to be faster there. But let's see if his fast first sector and maybe a fast final sector is able to make up for a rather poor mid sector. And it is a 4th place. So it puts him ahead of Font and Jay-Z with a 29.4. Still not good enough, I'd say. He probably wants to compete for that podium. Moto sets a 28.3, just 1/10 off of Dungeon. These two drivers have driven against and with each other for so long in multiple PA leagues, and it looks like it's going to be a repeat for them this season as well. What I find curious is that Mushi is not driving in pre-season testing. He was here earlier, but looks like he's not attending, it seems, or maybe he's a bit late. Hellenai sets a 28.7, and that puts him ahead of Steve. And now comes the later stages of qualifying. Everyone's going to be setting faster and faster laps and hoping to make a position. The slowest lap being a 1:35 at the moment by not really Russell, a Jaguar reserve driver. And looks like another driver has crashed. It's Plain. Dungeon Fanatics now on his outlap again. He did improve a 128.1, incredible, with a fastest third sector, making up for his rather lackluster first and second sector. That shows, as I said again, there's a lot of time to be gained with these cars. No one's really driving to the exact limit of what is possible. No one's pushed through to a 127 so far. And so they're going to be looking to maybe do that in the final stages of qualifying. everyone's into the pits and everyone's looking to make an improvement. Who will be the one to come out on top with pole position? It seems to be it will be a battle for pole between Dungeon of Tiro and Moto of Williams. But who knows? Maybe Halanai, Steve, or TXH can make a blistering improvement. Busy B-Dog surprisingly sets the fastest middle sector after invalidating his, or like on his outlap, which is a total waste to be setting out such a blistering first sector despite being on your outlap. I've had those moments before and it's not really fun because it feels like a big waste. But that is surprising. It shows that he has a bit of pace left, but quite unfortunately he has to put it together into an actual lap. Now let's see if anyone else can make it to the 128 or if anyone else is able to put it into the 127. Dungeon 24.9. It's a good first sector. Moto 24.95. Just a 400th off, but also very fast. And now they're all making it towards the second sector. Let's see if where's Dungeon. Looks like I can't spectate Dungeon for some reason, but let's look at Moto's lap. Left, right again, and then another left, down the hanger straight. Let's see his second sector, 36.7, incredible. Almost 3 times faster than the previous fastest sector 2. And if he gets it together for this final sector, then it will be a 127.5, I reckon. It will be a very fast lap. Looks like Dungeon's yet to finish his second sector. But through the final corner, let's see what Moto's able to put together. A little bit of lag. And let's see. So 127.5. That is a new record for AR03. A whole 4 tenths faster than the previous record, I'd say. And that is an incredible lap by Moto. Even if his third sector was a little bit off pace, his fast second sector really makes up for it. Halanai 25.1 on his first sector. TXH 28.7, just barely behind Halanai. And now Halanai, I think a little bit spooked, is hoping to make that an improvement. Let's see if anyone else is able to make any improvements down the field. Halanai has spun around, it seems, or he's got an issue. He stopped on the side of the track, and he looks like he won't be able to make another lap. Maybe he's given up. Maybe he's thrown in the towel and thinks that that 28.7 will be his fastest lap. Let's see TXH, his first sector. Oh, he's looking like... I don't think he'll be able to make it. There's only 20 seconds left. There's only 20 seconds left of qualifying, and I don't think he'll be able to make it in time, even if he cuts any corner. Steve, out of Chapel, down the straight. His second sector is invalidated, even though it was quite fast. That would be unfortunate. That is his qualifying over. Haunt, let's see, also an invalidated second sector. Everyone's invalidating on their final laps. That's unfortunate. But we'll be looking for any sort of improvements in this field. JZ, kind of a poor first sector. I don't think he'll be making any blistering hot laps with that. Let's see what Dungeon can put together. Let's see if Dungeon has an answer for Moto's pole lap. He's slower in both of the first and second sector, but he can maybe make it up in the final sector. And let's see what he does. It's a 27.6, 200ths off of Moto, and he did have that fastest third sector, but it was just not enough for pole position. And Moto will be breathing a sigh of relief. 200ths separate the top two. And that is qualifying over. Let's see if anyone's able to cross the line and make any sort of shock changes. The two arrows drivers here finishing their lap. Busy B-Dog spun it, and let's see if JZ's able to do anything with his final lap. And I don't think he has. Yep, a 131.5. That's quite off. And so I think there you have it. Everyone's finished their lap. Moto holds pole position for the first race of AR03, or rather preseason testing. So position's not going to be quite as important this race, but it still will be very interesting to see who will come out on top. So let's do a bit of a run down the grid, shall we? Everyone is now lining up for the very first event of AR03 Season 2. And now with the season much more competitive, with a lot more drivers than we had initially, it will be very exciting to see who will come out on top. So the driver on pole position, Moto, driving for Williams. A bit of a shocker really, because I thought it would be Duncan to take the lead. But it will be a very close fight. I know it. Helena, the driver for the player, lines up third. TXH right behind them for Williams. Looks like Williams is set to have the most profit from this race. Two drivers. But we cannot forget Arrow has three of those drivers. All next to each other. Four Jaguar drivers, so it's only a matter of if they can actually finish the race in the points or not. But if all of them can, then they're going to come with quite a few points on the first event. A bit of an argument between the positions. Yeah, no one's crossed the line yet, so the whole spectating thing is going to have to wait until everything's being set properly. Alright, the lights are ready, and let me do a quick introduction. Welcome to Season 2 of AR03, the premier 2003 league of Project Apex. We're on our first event of the season, preseason testing. Everyone's lined up on the grid right now, but we're waiting for the lights to go, and maybe for this Jaguar to finish lining up. The grid order is as follows. Moto sets the pace with the pole position of a 127.5. Dungeon right behind him with the 127.6, just 200ths off of his time. Helena, the driver for McLaren, lines up third, with TXH, Moto's teammate, right behind him. Steve, Haunt, and Jay-Z make 5th, 6th, and 7th. Busy, Heavy, and Ruth make up the final top 10. And we have 21 drivers, or roughly 21 drivers on the grid. This might be one of the most packed league races ever, with every garage being taken up by at least one driver. Everyone's lining up now and getting ready to start the race. It's 5 red lights, and the first race of Season 2 in AR03 now begins! As everyone sets off, Moto has a good start, so does Dungeon. Everyone's scrambling for positions now, as whoever comes out of the lead into the first corner will be able to dictate the race. Moto has a strong start, and looks like he'll be leading, but Hellenai and Dungeon are both right behind him. Dungeon's actually extremely close. He might be able to overtake him into this corner. Everyone is incredibly bunched up as 21 V10 engines steam down the main straight. As Dungeon takes the lead of the race. Or does he? It's hard to tell. It looks like he does. Through Brooklands and Luffield, Dungeon has been able to make the move and has taken the position for first. Followed right behind by Moto, Steve, Hellenai, and TXH. As everyone's scrambling for positions. No one knows who will come out on top in this first lap, as everyone's really on top of each other. It is now just about expending as much pace as possible just to get some room in these first few laps. Everyone will be on top of each other, and everyone will be blocking each other's vision and getting confused, and there will be incidents, I'm sure of it. Steve looks to overtake Moto, and now he's running in second position. Moto right in front of his teammates. Oh, Dungeon Fanatics has had a moment. He spun out. Multiple drivers have flipped over. TXH has flipped over. Oh, that is the curse of Stowe. One of the most treacherous corners in the grid. Very, 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 very dangerous for all the drivers. As now Moto, I believe, leads the race with Busy in second place. Busy B-Dog has somehow managed to make his way up to second place. Dungeon, however, will not stand for that and will be looking to make up a position as quickly as possible. Moto, however, has managed to stretch to almost a 1 second lead, but I don't know how long that can last. And yet, looks like Dungeon made his way up to second place again after recovering from a little bit of a moment at Stowe. But Moto's teammate, TXH, has gone off quite poorly into that first corner. Into Stowe. And so has come out quite poorly into that first lap. Busy B-Dog, surprisingly, driving for Arrows, is now up in third place. And it will be shocking to see if he can score points for them. And maybe even a podium for Arrows, who haven't seen a podium in ages. TXH, Moto's teammate, now runs in 21st, 16 seconds behind the lead drivers. An absolute disastrous start for the driver. But I'm sure he won't be the only one to find a bit of misfortune into Stowe. As Dungeon runs a bit wide, and he's into the wall! Dungeon's hit the wall! He went wide and lost a bit of grip at the exit, and he's in the wall. Thankfully, I don't think he's lost the front wing from that. That could have been much, much worse for the driver. And this is not the start of a race Dungeon wanted. Now he is dropping like a brick down the order. Now 10th place for Dungeon. Despite him qualifying second. Looks like there's a... Moto now has a strong lead over Steve. Over a second. And Haunt, the Arrows driver, is third. So, this is actually a dream start for Arrows team. 2 of their drivers are in contention for the podium. The McLaren driver, Hellenai, is right behind him, looking to make up positions as quickly as possible. But the one I think will be needing to make up as much position as possible is TXH and Dungeon. Both top-tier drivers affected by Stowe corner and flipped over. TXH now in 19th place. I think a few drivers have had moments and crashes, and so that's let him gain a few positions. I'll now be looking at Moto. Moto down the hangar straight has a 1 second lead over Steve, but the gap has closed a little bit since last time. And so, can Steve be the surprising winner? Oh, Moto's almost had a moment. He's almost flipped over. The rear of his car, the side of his car gained too much grip, and he almost went and flipped over like TXH did. But he managed to keep it under control, and he's only lost a couple of positions. I think he's now behind Hellenai. And so, it is now JZ who leads the Silverstone Grand Prix preseason testing. And it's now multiple Arrows drivers in contention for not only the podium, but also the race win. 2 of them. It's a Arrows 1-2, which is incredibly surprising because at the start of the season, if you asked anyone, I don't think anyone would have predicted Arrows being all the way up here for their first race. Steve looking to break up the 1-2, however, he's looking to win the race. But we have to remember that this is only preseason testing, and the most valuable part is gaining information and gaining data, as the point distribution is quite little. But Arrows will definitely be wanting to make a sort of statement and let everyone know that they are here for the fight, as they are running 1-2 and extremely strong at the moment. But there is still 21 laps of the race left and incoming rain, I believe. And so many things can happen, as we've seen. The top two drivers in qualifying are now running in 4th, and Dungeon running in 10th. A disaster for both of them. Jay-Z runs a little bit wide there, but manages to not lose anything, unlike Moto or Dungeon. A bit further back in the grid, Grid is fighting Heavenly Longnose for 6th place. The battle between Ferrari and Renault continues onto Season 2. Moto, now running in 5th, has been overtaken by Halanai, I believe, and so will need to make up more and more positions now, as the race win sort of flips out of his hand, despite it seeming like he had it under control when he got pole position. Fastest lap of the race goes to Steve with a 28.6, and now he leads the race. He's taken both of the Arrows drivers, and he now leads them. But in preseason testing, winning actually doesn't matter. It's the same points for the top 4. All get 2 points, and so really, winning the race doesn't have quite as much significance. However, I think Steve will want to win just for the bragging rights, just for the statement it will make. As Renault were unable to score anything last season. I think they were able to score 1 point in Las Vegas. But other than that, they had a horrendous season. And so, Steve here will be hoping to make it all better this season. Moto looks to have fought his way past Halanai and into 4th place. Bridge and Heavenly Longnose now fighting it out for 6th place. Bridge hopefully hoping to join his teammate Steve in the glory that Renault have this race. Dungeon is still in 10th place. He is not making up any sort of time. He's 18 seconds behind the lead and is losing time over and over per lap. Maybe he's got damage from that impact, but it's hard to tell. He's struggling to make up any time to anyone. And so he looks like he'll be running in 10th for quite a while. Steve still holds the lead, but only 5 tenths behind him is Jay-Z, and another second behind Jay-Z is Haunt. Both Arrows drivers looking to make up positions and hoping to win this race in a dominant 1-2. But not only Steve, but Moto will be making it rather difficult since he's recovered from that incident and is only 2 seconds behind the lead driver, and has set, no, he has not set the fastest lap, but his pace still looks a bit strong, though it is lacking a bit behind Steve. So, Steve looks like he'll lead for the remaining few laps until the first pit stop window. And the first pit stop window is looking to be around lap 12 or 13, halfway through, because if the rain does not go past the point where it needs to be entered, I think best bet is just to pit halfway through and go the remaining 13 laps on slicks and bear through the rain. Steve extending his gap all the way to 1.4 seconds now. He leads Jay-Z, and Moto fought his way up to 3rd place now. He's in the podium after dropping to 5th place due to the incident, but he's almost 3 seconds behind Steve. And so he needs to really get the pace up. Dungeon, 18 seconds behind Steve, has not made up any time, but he's made up a position. He's now in 9th place. But this is not the start that Dungeon would have wanted, and this is not the start that Turo would have wanted. Oh, Ruthless has crashed into the barrier, and he's one of 3 drivers who have binned it in Silverstone. Let's see. I now want to know where TXH has put himself. He is now running in 13th place. I can't see him on the leaderboard since he's broken, but TXH has made up quite a few positions since his first lap incident. He was 21st after the first lap, and now he's up 13th after lap 7. And so he will be looking to recover back into the points position just to help out the Williams team in their title fight. Any amount of points matter, and so everyone will be fighting as hard as they can for these positions. Steve now leads Jay-Z by over 3 seconds. He is really putting the hammer down, setting fast lap after fast lap a 129.6. Everyone else is setting 130s. He's still the only driver in the 129ers, and because of that, he's got a dominant lead of 3 seconds ahead of Jay-Z and over 6 seconds ahead of Moto. I don't know what happened there. Looks like someone made a mistake. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not sure if anyone knows. I think Moto may have had an incident, but now he's only 2 seconds behind Helena, who looks to also have had an incident. But worst of all, Hunt, once running in second place, now finds himself 5th place, 11 seconds behind the leader. Dungeon, 20 seconds behind the leader, but has made up another position and is now running in 8th place, looking to overtake the Ferrari and the Renault, as he's got much quicker pace, I reckon. TXH fighting the Jaguar of My Super 12K for 12th position. He is running over 44 seconds behind the leader of the race. And so I don't think he'll be really challenging for the win unless there is a big red flag. But that does not look to be happening anytime soon. Though with the rain coming, Silverstone becomes much more difficult for these drivers and these cars. And so a red flag is not off the table in my opinion. Jay-Z's lead over 3 seconds ahead. Steve's lead over 3 seconds ahead of Jay-Z. Helena has overtaken Moto. It looks like Moto's in the pits already. Looks like rain's pouring. And so every driver now just has to keep it clean and keep it on the road, as these cars will be losing more and more grip as the rain progresses. Steve still holding strong, over 3.5 seconds ahead of Jay-Z, looking to make that 4 seconds ahead of Jay-Z, 10 seconds ahead of 3rd place. And surprisingly, Steve has not had any issues so far. He's only recently set a 130.4, which is still strong pace considering the weather and his degraded tires. But now, importantly, let's see if what tires Moto has put on. I think he's put on slicks again. Maybe he could not cope with the degradation and now is looking to undercut all the drivers ahead of him. And he's still ahead of his teammate, despite pitting once. And so TXH is quite far behind. But let's see if Moto's gamble to pit a bit early will pay off or not. I think he might have a chance if the rain becomes bad enough, but if not, he might have pitted a bit too early, and he's going to not have enough tire left in the final stages of the race, unless he plans on pitting again for slicks, which seems unlikely. Surprisingly, Dungeon has made his way into 5th place. I think the moment the rain started, everyone either dove into the pits or started making mistakes. And so Dungeon now keeps 5th place. Now 4th place. I think Jay-Z has pitted. Let's see. Steve has yet to pit. I don't think they need to pit right now. I'm not sure what the weather forecast looks like, but it does not look like it needs any sort of inters right now. So I'm not sure why everyone's pitting so early. Helena now running 2nd place for McLaren after having a mediocre start to the race. But he is 10 seconds behind Steve. And so Steve looks to be untouchable at the moment. But that can all change, as we've seen before. Just one minor incident in any of these corners and these cars will go flying off.
Hello. I'm here.
BrodyJames has joined us. We've had another commentator join us.
Oh, what did I miss?
Quite a lot you've missed. Moto and Dungeon took pole, Dungeon was second, but both of them had big incidents into Stowe Corner, and so they've lost a lot of time. Moto now runs 6th, and Dungeon is running 4th place. Hellenai now comes into the pits, looking to switch, hopefully to inters, I believe. Steve stays out for another lap. I think he's following my advice, and he's going to pit at the halfway mark of the race instead of pitting early. I think the drivers who pitted early are making a bit of a mistake, as the tires are going to get worse and worse, and they're going to have less and less grip when the rain sort of comes. But I don't think the rain will be bad enough for inters, but it will be really, really tough on the slick tires. And so they'll want a lot of grip into those final stages of the race. Super Saiyan looks like he's crashed into, I think that's Top's corner or Stowe, but he is out of the race. Hellenai now.
That is not a great one for him.
Now comes everyone who's pitted is now fighting each other for position. Haunt, I don't think he pit either. He hasn't pitted, but he's now running in 2nd place, but Dungeon is closing really rapidly behind him. I'm not sure if I don't think Dungeon has pitted yet, but I think Haunt's been losing a lot of speed once the rain came down, and so he has been struggling to hold his place, as Dungeon is putting him under a lot of pressure. Moto is on fresh tires, and so he'll be fighting Hellenai as well for position. Everyone's a bit shuffled right now due to the pit stops, but I want to see what the positions will be after Steve pits. Let's see if I can look for Steve.
He's still staying out.
He's up, he's staying out for another lap. He's lapping the Jaguar drivers. The Jaguar drivers
Dungeon inside. Dungeon pitted.
Dungeon's pitting now, okay. Yep, looks like they're all going for the halfway mark. Still Steve. Steve's probably in this lap. Haunt still keeps his 2nd place, but Moto is closing rapidly on those newer tires. Oh, TXH.
Dungeon coming out in P5. What happened?
TXH is fighting the Ferrari for 11th place. TXH was actually 2nd in the race at the start, but he flipped over in Stowe Corner, and so he was 21st at the end of lap 1. And so he's been on a charge to come back and hopefully score at least a few points for the Williams team.
Oh, give way to leaders, they said.
Yep,
those cars are lap.
A lot of lap drivers at the moment.
Let's see Steve though.
25 seconds ahead.
He's asking when to pit. He's asking when to pit.
When pit?
He has no idea.
He doesn't know when to pit, but he needs to pit soon. It's a gamble for Steve. He needs an engineer to tell him when to pit.
Hunton died as well, so he's not
driver to driver, Steve. I don't think you need to stay out for too long. You need to pit eventually. The rain will not be enough for inters. I don't think so. The forecast says it will only go up to 16%. That is not inters territory. So you will need a pit for slicks eventually.
They're telling him to pit at lap 19 though.
Jill is not Steve's race engineer. Jill is the Churro team principal. She's lying. Don't believe her.
Yeah, no. What? Lap 19.
The two Renault drivers are actually running strong. 7th and 8th for the other 2 Renault drivers, and obviously Steve, also driving for Renault, is now leading. Dungeon Fanatics 6th place, over 6 seconds behind Jay-Z. And so I'm not sure if Dungeon will be able to make up enough positions. I think Haunt pitted. Okay, so Dungeon is running in 5th. And Haunt makes it out in 6th place, right ahead of the 2 Renault drivers. Let's see if Steve pits this lap. Let's see if he listens to my advice and comes in for slicks. And I think he does. Yep, he's pitting 4 slick tires. I think so. It should be slicks. I'm not sure.
See if he is going to be ahead of Moto or
Helena, let's see if he...
yeah. Let's see what's gonna happen here. Man and P2 is at Stowe only.
Yeah, they've only made it to the final chicane, and they're fighting it out. Moto, actually no, Moto's not pitting. I thought he was about to pit, but looks like he's just taking a white line.
Steve's out already. Steve is out of the pit lane, and what a distance between himself and the man in P2.
He's had a dominant lead. I think everyone has made a big mistake pitting so early because they've clearly not gained any time on Steve whatsoever. And now Steve has much fresher tires with a lot less distance on them, and he'll be able to take them much further into the race with only 10 laps left. Helena already 5-6 seconds behind, despite pitting a whole, I think 5-6 laps earlier. It has not gained them enough time to really make an impact on Steve's lead. It's gone down a little, I believe, but it's not enough. Helena now leads Moto, and he leads JZ, who leads Dungeon. So the Arrows team, who looked to be dominant into the first few laps of the race with a 1-2, were unable to keep up with Steve's pace and now have fallen behind greatly. I think Font is in 6th place.
I see them died in one of those corners and had to slow down like a few laps ago. That's why he probably lost a lot of time there.
Yeah.
He was in like around 20 seconds only behind. He should have been closer to Dungeon.
Steve has been extending his lead again. Let's look at the lap times. The fastest lap of the race is by Steve, 28.6. And Steve is his outlap is a 146, so we'll have to see it on the next lap if he is any faster. But I want to see what his sector times are looking like. His sector times are all faster than Moto and Helena by quite a few tenths. Oh, it looks like Moto's overtaken Helena. Helena's had a problem into the chicane. He's lost almost 10 seconds. He's 15 seconds behind now. Oh, Helena spun! He's lost position. Terrible for the McLaren team, who now see their podium flip and tumble all the way down to, I think, 7th or 8th place. Dungeon's already gone past him. But now Dungeon might be trying to overtake Jay-Z. And we'll have to see. Yep, Helena has dropped behind both Dungeon and... Oh, the Ferrari's
gone. Oh my god!
Another big crash. But I don't think that's enough to be out of the race. He looks like the only wing damage.
I'll check on him.
This is where the race gets fun. Another Ferrari spun out. Multiple drivers are spinning out now. I think it's nearing 10 or 15% rain, but that's not enough for inters. But it's extremely difficult for the slicks. And so it is about keeping it clean and keeping it on the track, especially at the high-speed corners. If you mess up in one of those high-speed chicanes, you are going off the track and you are going into a wall. Steve, however, seems to be completely unfazed by this change, and he's now running dominantly in first place, over 10 seconds ahead of Moto, who has not been able to make any impact on his lead.
3 seconds on that lap. Because
yeah,
of the
3
mistake.
seconds faster on that lap. He's 2 seconds faster than TXH. He is absolutely thriving in these conditions. But another driver who seems to be thriving is Dungeon, also sitting at 131. And so he looks to be making a bit more pace than Moto. And let's see if in these closing laps, if Dungeon will be able to catch up to the Williams driver or not. But to me, it seems that no one will be catching Steve today unless something major happens. These are the corners I'm talking about here. These are extremely risky. As you can see, Steve was almost sliding through them. With the rain coming down, they become much less grippy, especially in the rear. And so you have to be extremely careful not to crash or spin out.
Okay.
I think Moto has had a slowdown. He's had a slowdown of some sort. He's way behind now. He's almost...
And it is... Dungeon's there.
Dungeon's right behind him. And so is Jay-Z. through the very,
This is
very
gonna be a nice
tumultuous
fight.
Stowe corner. Let's see if has Moto gone off. Moto's gone into the pits. He's pitting.
He's in the
going
pit.
for the inters. I think he's going for the inters. He's gambling. Hellenite also
Okay.
for the inters. Many drivers are diving into the pits for the inter tires. Now, they cannot cope with the rain, and they're hoping to gain much more time with the inter tires. But will it pay off? Will they be able to make up that difference in 8 more laps? Steve, however, has been completely unfazed by any of this, running strongly in first place. Still, a 132. Everyone is losing time, it seems, so it looks like a few people are pitting. Dungeon Fanatics, after a terrible, terrible incident and being 10th place, or 10th place after his incident at Stowe, he has now recovered to 2nd place. A strong drive by him, and I think Tyrrell should be happy with a result like that, even though I think he could have potentially contended for the lead of the race. Steve's drive is comparable to even Senna's drive in Portugal 1985. He is completely undisturbed by the rain, and he is gaining more time on everyone else. Look at the spectators here,
Alright. I have never seen someone driving like this in a race whatsoever, regardless of cars or competition, but this is one hell of a drive by Steve,
Steve!
who has already gained.
Oh my god, that was a big moment for Steve. He almost spun out there. You can see a lot of wheel spin. He is definitely feeling the rain now. If before he wasn't, he's now definitely feeling that lack of grip. But he continues to stay out. Dungeon as well. They're all sliding around. Dungeon drifting through that corner incredibly. We're seeing like Formula Drift here. But importantly or not, let's see if Moto gains any time from these inters. He might have been a bit early with them, but I can't tell. But he seems to have a bit more pace through those chicanes, and let's see if he gains any sort of time through them throughout this lap.
Dungeon is drifting a lot though.
I want to see what Moto's first sector. Moto's first sector almost 5/10 faster than Steve. So it seems like the inters will be the gamble. And they will be able to make up more and more time as the laps go down. But will it be enough? Will the time difference be enough to gain back the positions they lose by pitting in these last 7 laps of the race? Almost 21 drivers racing this league and quite a few DNFs. We've had 6 DNFs so far, but I think it needs 2 more DNFs to bring out the red flag. Actually, will there be a red flag this race?
I mean, there's gonna be only 2 more laps to go until that window closes.
I think I made a mistake. Moto is not on inters. He's on fresh tires. He's not on inters. He's on slicks. He's chosen to go with the 2-stop. But I don't think that's worth it. I don't think the 2-stop has worked out for Moto. He's not going to make up the time loss from pitting. I don't think so. Especially when compared to Steve. He's able to go much, much longer than he has. Moto has a 30-second gap to close in on Steve. And over 3 seconds to gain on Jay-Z, and over 15 seconds to gain on Dungeon. And so in my opinion, I don't think that 2-stop has really worked out for him.
He can get a podium at best though. That's pretty fine for him.
I think he can get that podium. I think he's got much more pace than Jay-Z at the moment. He's over, let's see. He was a second faster than Jay-Z in that first sector alone. Dungeon was, I think Steve's had a slowdown or a mistake of some sort in his first sector. He's lost a bit of time to Dungeon, but he's still got a 14-second lead. And that looks like it'll be staying that way. And the closing stages of the race, every time I see the driver start sliding a bit, it always gives me a heart attack.
Yeah. Not the best way to crash.
Yeah. Dungeon, looks like he's still losing time to Steve through the other parts of the race, other parts of the lap. But Jay-Z is holding on against Moto Jay-Z's
Easy pit? Huh?
now with 5 laps left. I don't think that's a good idea. Actually, I'm not sure if he's even allowed to do that. There's a limit. You can't pit in the last 5 laps of the race. But I think you can maybe make an exception because it's not quite the last 5 laps, or maybe the last 6 laps technically. So we'll see what race control has to say about that. Him making a pit so early, so late in the race. As I've said, now with 5 laps left of the race, you cannot make a pit stop under any circumstance. You have to use whatever tire you have, as the pit has now been closed for all the drivers.
Jay-Z, the last person to pit, except for any exceptions, which does happen. But yeah.
Yep. Bad day for the Jaguar team. I don't think any of them have been able to punch through into the top 10. As I think the highest up Jaguar driver is 11th right now, right behind the Arrows team and the Renault. Helena lapping all of them actually, not running 6th place, very strong. Only 2
We got another crash.
Where?
We got another crash. It's the Madden P16. And I did get to see a glimpse of it, and it looked so weird. He just went straight, and apparently his tires fell off.
Oh, that is unfortunate for the Benetton team. Here's the fight I'm interested in. Helena is only... Oh, Helena has made the move. He's passed DWIJ, and now he's going to hopefully close up on Jay-Z. 3 seconds to make up, but I think Jay-Z's got the fresher tires. Oh, Heleni's crashed! He's binned it! After snow, he's lost his front, he's lost his whole nose. Can he continue? Yes, he can. But that McLaren is severely compromised now. He's going to lose positions to every driver. No front wing in the rain, no nose in the rain is horrible misfortune for the McLaren driver.
Oh well.
Jaguar has made it into the points. My Super 12K now in the top 10. He's going to score 1 point at least for the Jaguar team. It's maybe even more. Actually, no, not more. Only the top 4 gain, as the points are. The top 4 gain 2 points, I think, and then the 6th all the way to like 1st all the way to 10th gain 1 point each. Dungeon Fanatics now 22 seconds behind Steve. Looks like Steve is increasing his gap without any worry in the world. Extremely dominant drive from the Renault driver. And a complete turn of what has been predicted. I don't think I was really pegging Renault to be the top team in preseason testing. I thought it would really be Williams or Tyrrell, but looks like Steve has proved me wrong. As not only is he in 1st place, his teammate, DWIJ, is in 5th place, and another one of his teammates is running in 8th place. So they're all going to score major points, or like a few points this race.
Oh, what happened to Dungeon? Dungeon disconnected!
Dungeon's disconnected!
Dungeon has disconnected! Oh, another spin in the Ferrari!
Dungeon's day just got way worse, as not only has he had a big moment at the first few laps, he's not been able to gain any time on Steve, and he's now disconnected. He won't gain any points. And Tyrrell, despite being the favorites to win this championship, come out of preseason testing with no points whatsoever. Now it's Moto in 2nd place with 33 seconds.
Wait, he's still on track. He's still frozen on track though.
Yeah,
now he's gone. He's gone.
Dungeon will not be finishing this race, and it's only more fortune for the Jaguar drivers who are now fighting for the last few points on the grid.
The Reynolds are fighting also.
Yep. But they need to keep it clean. They cannot cause anything. They cannot distract each other. They need to all focus on just finishing this race and gaining as many points as they can for the Renault team. Steve is actually going to lap one of his teammates right here.
Let's see if Buff can keep it. At the moment, he is not.
Oh, another Jaguar driver is off the road. Maybe he's had a bit of an issue. I'm not sure. He's driving very slowly around. Another team who's had a relatively good day today is the Arrows team, who have both of their drivers in the top 5. Oh, Hans spun. Okay, he's managed to keep it relatively clean. He has not lost anything from that. Only a few seconds, but it's not important right now.
Far ahead of TX8, so he should be fine. And the Jaguar is facing the wall as well.
Steve! He saved it. He saved it. He's binned it, but he's kept it out of the wall without any damage. No, he's hit the wall, but he's not got any damage from that. And he can breathe a big sigh of relief that he's not currently buried into the barriers right now. And I'm sure he's going to be taking these last few laps much more cautiously now after that.
Yeah.
Every high-speed corner in this track with the rain is now a death trap. Moto also drifting in that corner. And he might lose position to Jay-Z. Jay-Z might be able to take him. Moto, let's see if Moto is able to keep his position or not. I think Jay-Z might be able to take it, but I think he's being held off. It's very neck and neck between them right now. They're both 29 seconds behind. I think Jay-Z's actually on the lead. Jay-Z leads Moto, I think.
He is!
Incredibly, the Arrows driver has managed to pass the Williams driver. Oh, Moto spun! He spun it! Horrible for Moto. He's now completely lost the chance for second place unless Jay-Z makes a big mistake. DWIJ now runs in 4th place. The Renault drivers have made up many positions. All Renault drivers are in the top 6 right now, which means major points for all of them going into the first round of this season after preseason testing, of course.
Renault driver also got ahead of Williams as well.
Yeah, Arrows is another team with a brilliant result today. Jay-Z runs 2nd, and his teammate Hans now also runs in 5th. And you have to remember that the winner does not gain any more points than the 2nd place driver. The winner gains 2 points, 2nd place gains 2 points as well. And I think the top 5 or top 4 all gain 2 points per position. And 5th all the way down to 10th is, I think, 1 point per. So it's not so much about the positions now. It's about seeing who's got the most pace and sort of setting a statement for everyone that the team Renault is much stronger than they were last season and will now hopefully be able to contend for that championship. Looks like I think Steve's had a big moment. Steve might have had a big shot or something because he's now only 18 seconds ahead of Jay-Z. Jay-Z 30 seconds ahead of Moto. I think Moto has had another incident as well. I think it's the spin lost him a lot of time. But we enter the last lap of this race. Can Jay-Z keep it on the road and keep it clean to hopefully win his first race and win the first race of the Season 2 of AR03 and be the first race winner for Renault, as they were nowhere last season. And so hopefully this result will bring back some motivation for the team to show that they really are back and they are ready than ever to fight for the championship. But do know Jay-Z is gaining a lot of time on Steve. Just the first sector. He's almost 2 seconds up on Steve. So we have to see if Steve can really keep this position or not. He's only 15 seconds ahead now. And just one big moment, one big incident will be enough. I think Steve's taking this really cautiously now. I think he might have backed off the pace just to make sure he finishes this race. Jay-Z, 2nd place. Hopefully will be able to keep it clean as well. I think every driver now won't be pushing as hard as they wish. They're going to be driving rather slowly just to keep it clean, keep it on the track, and keep those points that they worked so hard.
He's about to cross the line.
Yeah, let's see Steve. Steve has faced every challenge so far. Rain and everything. This tumultuous track is not easy in the rain. But Steve has conquered it all, and he's conquered everyone on the grid. And he wins the Silverstone preseason testing with over 15 seconds ahead of 2nd place. Jay-Z will be very happy with the second place, I reckon, for the Arrows team. Moto, despite being on pole, I think he won't be very happy to only make it up to third. But considering his incident and all the incidents everyone else has had, he will be very happy just to at least finish this race and
Wait, hold
the
on.
podium.
The Reynolds are still fighting though, but it's kind of broken apart now.
Yeah.
They were side by side, and they overtook Arrow's driver as well. So it's gonna be P6 for Haunton, unless he chokes it, and he does choke it to TXH. So he's gonna finish in 7th instead.
Moto finishes in style with the 360 across the line, 54 seconds behind the leader. But I don't think he'll be too worried about that. Surprisingly, despite being 21st on that first lap, TXH has fought his way through the field and is now 6th place, only 3 positions behind his teammate Moto, which shows an incredible amount of pace despite the big incident. But I think Renault will be the happiest team today, with all 3 of their drivers in the top 5 scoring major points. Hunt a little bit skittish in that final corner, but he manages to keep his position of 7th place and crosses the line to score at least 1 point for Arrows.
Haunton died in the final lap. He was 5th entering it.
Yeah, unfortunate last lap for Haunt. But he should still be
that will
happy
be
for a
it,
top
though.
10 finish.
Yep. Jaguars. Not the best race.
Jaguar, despite,
Yeah.
I thought they were really on the back foot this race, but they've managed to keep it away from the wall, and they've managed to at least finish both in the top 10. Now, oh, Benjamin's crashed. Like I said, one of the Jaguars already, despite the last lap, or I think he's a few laps down.
Oh, he's a few laps down. He has to continue his race.
He has to continue his race with a broken nose. Oh, Robin's running after the Ferrari spun. And the 2 Jaguars managed to keep their place, and they managed to stay safe from the Ferrari and finish the race with both drivers in the top 10.
Let's see. He finishes the race, so we'll now have to wait for the other guys. Robin also finishes. Now we wait for those in P12 and below. Only 2 more drivers are left.
Yeah.
And it's who's it? It's 2 Jaguars. So they're the last team to finish. Oh well.
That was an incredible race. That was very up and down in my opinion. So I'm gonna end this. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep recording. The leaderboard's a bit bugged, but I think they've at least got the photo, or I think Arto might have had the photo. Well, it's fine. We are recording anyway. Let me do a bit of a walk now. Can the top 3 drivers go to Parc Ferme? Actually, I think they might be there already. Let's see it. We're waiting for Moto to get there.
Moto Parc Ferme.
What an incredible race that was. That was very, very up and down. I had no idea who actually would have won coming into this race. I thought it was going to be Tyrrell or Williams, but surprisingly, Renault had an incredible race today. And they are the ones to keep the upper hand coming into the first actual round of Mexico next week. Who's in this car right here?
And he's here. Alright, we're going.
Alright, see ya.
Oh yeah, next time guys, have fun with Haman.
Yeah.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Can Steve move back a bit? Your noses are too big. Oh, no, can you move back a bit? Your noses. dominant the race. Jay-Z surprisingly puts Arrows in second place, and then it is Moto with third. And what a roller coaster that was.